resistance or lack of resistance, 70 years later today, do we have something to learn for Jews living in Galilee?
During Russia to Ukraine, here question for Dr. Panz. We speak about such experience in Ukraine, comparing our situation with ex-members of UPA and OUN and so on. It's typical, when we talk to them, it's typical denial of participation in the Holocaust and so on. They say it's all the Germans. For me, it's a question in the case of Akko, yeah? How it's, did you have experience to talk with veterans of Army Korea? He was a member of archives and so, yeah? He was a member. No, okay. So, what is the popular perception of in Gentile population and all experiences? Did you meet in all such type of situations of denial, public denial of his participation in crimes against Jews?
I'm not sure I heard exactly your question. Is it if we can learn from the resistance from those days to today?
Resistance or lack of resistance in that period. Today, is there a relevance to what happened there?
I think that in those days the resistance wasn't in order to escape or to rescue your life, because there was no chance in Lithuania at least. There was no chance to be released from this situation because those people who succeeded escaping from the pigs, they were delivered to the Nazis or to the governors, the Lithuanian governors, and were killed. So the reason or the aim of the resistance was only to mark in the history, but there was a resistance, but we weren't being killed for Ukraine. I think that today it's quite different situation. There is a reason for the struggle, for the resistance. You have a country, you have something to fight for. But in those days, it was only for a mark in the history, just to say that I resisted. That's exactly what people said in those days. I have some testimonies that they say, I want that people would remember what we resisted.
I don't know if I answered the questions, but I know that in France a large number of Jews were part of the French resistance movements and organizations, and a lot of the resistant Jewish organizations were able to hide Jews at the end of World War II. Is Rebecca Clifford's here? Okay.
I can only speak about Jewish doctors in Auschwitz, and their form of resistance was to was in the form of manipulating and fabricating documentation, medical reports to keep prisoners alive. That was their form of resistance, and to work in the hospitals to try and to keep people alive. So,
as for my perspective, I do research concerning microhistory of one small community. At the beginning, I was supposed to look at the whole region of Halpin, but then I saw that the Holocaust of the Polish province is so complex that it's a huge danger of generalization, because there was the same process, the same end, but actually on individuals depended their response, and the response of the whole local community sometimes. So as for resistance that I came across, in local archives, local government, Polish local government from war period, for me, a kind of resistance was their response, the way they struggle for everyday life, as we call it. They had, when I look at those families' story, they simply had to adapt to everyday changes that they came across. But on the other hand, to my surprise, I found memoirs of a Polish policeman who was in a Polish conspiration, and he very clearly emphasized and noted that the only people in conspiracy that they knew, the Polish conspiracy, they always can count on were Jewish people from this town, because they knew they didn't want to collaborate with Germans. And as for the question concerning the public denial, or what I tried to show you is the official politics concerning cursed soldiers. And our government changed on November, and the process is going on. And we have Institute of Polish Remembrance, which is a very important institution, and actually they created a day of cursed soldiers, and Ogień is the most important person, and they are creating the popular imagination, popular image of Ogień. They organize exhibitions, they organize lessons, so it goes through the whole public discourse, while in Podhale region, Ogień, the memory of Ogień is very divided, because there were not only Jewish victims, but also Polish victims. And right now there is a really huge struggle. A lot of people try to fight in the name of Polish victims with this public process.
So thank you. I don't know if it's on, but thank you for the four excellent papers. My questions focus specifically on the issue of authenticity and sort of across all four of them. And so I'll ask some specifics, but if anybody wants to comment on authenticity, I'm intrigued by, first of all, in the case of Koniuszowski, sort of this dedication that he has to ensuring the accuracy of the testimony, and I'm intrigued by this idea of sort of having it signed and validated. Can you say something about why? Sort of, was it specifically for the historical record that he wanted to guarantee sort of the authenticity of these testimonies? Was he thinking about a legal sort of record as well, that these could be used? So what was his thinking, as far as you know, for why that might be the case? And then specifically for Anna and Ross, I think you raised sort of a question about genre, right? So again, authenticity and genre. I mean, in the case of sort of film, documentary versus a dramatic, that she blurs the lines or shows how the lines can be blurred. But again, this raises the question of sort of authenticity. And then in the case of the memoir, right? Sort of how we distinguish. Why do you think you didn't get into this? But why do you think we have this sort of invented memoir, or these sort of events which are presented as factual, but clearly, as you demonstrate, have been invented? So why does she do this? What is she trying to do here?
Okay, about the aim of Koniuszowski, the precision matter, I think that I have a good answer to it. He was an engineer, I'm also an engineer, and I know that as an engineer, we are looking for precise evidences. So I think that it was in his nature to look for something very accurate. I found in many testimonies that he changed the numbers of the dates after he found in other testimonies that the date wasn't on Saturday, but was on Sunday or something like that. So we changed, slightly erased the dates and put another. It wasn't for, I think there was no aim of some legal aspect or something like that, just for curiosity, for the future, for the history. That's all, that's what I think. This is my idea.
And as far as documentaries versus fiction. This is one survivor's point of view as a filmmaker, and who is a filmmaker of documentary. She feels that documentaries are very subjective because of that they are staged as well as a fiction film. They give the illusion to be authentic, and she is not saying that all the documentaries done previously are not authentic, but there is the hand of the filmmaker, the questions that are asked, you know, there's a certain agenda.
This particular memoir, when I did the doctorate, I did about eight brief biographies, of which Pearl was one of them. But each of the books over about a 2-year period I read 30 times. And obviously the first time I read a book and the last time I read the book was totally different. And I can't go into it, but Pearl's was very complex. And to me, it's full of inaccuracies and fiction. But she was in Auschwitz. Her daughter Ella, when she saw the book, chapter 2, she ripped the chapter out, right? Because she just wasn't there. She just wasn't there. And her grandson, you know, he keeps asking why, and Ella asks why, you know. I have an opinion why. You know, after reading the book, I think I know it better than anybody. And I think it's because of her personality and who she was. And it comes out in the memoir. If you read her memoir, I think I get it. But if I wrote it, I don't know where I'd be. You know, I don't know where I'd be. So.
This is just a general question to the panelists. I find it very interesting so far after the first two panels that I don't think I've heard the word trauma yet, maybe once. And I'm wondering what role trauma. Pearl seems to me, and I'm not a psychologist and I never took psychology, but it seems to me that Pearl is traumatized by her experience, and that might explain some of the inaccuracies or the way in which she wrote her memoir. But I think that's true of almost all of you could probably address, even in the early testimonies. I wonder to what extent trauma may have played a role in what was said, what was not said, what was hidden, and so forth. So if anyone wants to address the role of trauma in testimony, I would find it very interesting to hear your comments.
Yeah, one of the biographies I did was on Dr. Lewis Michaels, and he was a doctor in Auschwitz. He spent about 2.5 years there, and he didn't write his biography. He didn't write his memoir 40 years after the Holocaust, and he was in Auschwitz. His story was that he was traumatized. He was in fear the whole time, which obviously all the prisoners were. But he constantly said throughout the book that he could never go into the labour section. He went into the labour section the first month, and he knew that he would not survive. And so they put him into the hospital, the infirmaries, etc., and worked there. And he relied on Nora, his fiancée, to get him through. So it took him 40 years. He never spoke about it. His family said, who I interviewed, never spoke about it. Then he wrote his memoirs. And you're reading this memoir, how frightened and etc. he was. And in the last couple of pages, he tells of, which came back to him and Nora, that he completely blocked out of his mind, was that one of the worst things that happened to him, that of a morning, this very brutal guy used to come in and inspect the sole of their feet. And if they were dirty, he used to get this big bit of wood and slap their feet, beat their feet. And it was the worst thing, his greatest fear, that he'd forgotten about it. He'd forgotten about it. The other thing was that the last couple of pages, he said, what I remember, it wasn't that bad. The camps weren't that bad. Like, really? I don't know whether it was loss of memory or what it was, but that was his memory. It wasn't that bad.
But don't you think in Pearl's memoir that the trauma plays a role?
I don't.
You don't?
I don't. I think it was... I just think it was just blatant. For certain reasons, it was blatant taking these people out. That's what I think.
Do others want to respond to the question about trauma?
First, it's a very interesting question. I didn't think about it while reading, so now I try to think about something. So I would say that most of the 150 testimonies are dry descriptions that were given just after the war. People didn't think about dramatization of the facts. I think that the facts themselves were dramatic enough just to tell the real truth. But I can say that maybe 2 or 3 testimonies, there are some passages that I would say dramatic. Yeah, this is what I think just for now.
Can you think of one passage?
Yeah, it's maybe the case when people are are taken to the pits, and then the man tells us about his feelings. He escaped at last. Yeah, he was the one who escaped. So he gives a very, very interesting description of it. You can cry when you read it. But it is maybe 1 or 2 cases, just all the 150 cases of testimonies.
Yeah, okay, last comment here.
As for trauma, the most visible for me moment when I experienced the trauma of survivors was Geddes' testimony that I mentioned in my paper concerning his mother's death. This testimony was given in Poland in 97. Yes, in 97. It's 1 hour long. It's not long. And this man is afraid of mentioning that he's a Jew. And he lived in his trauma for all of those years. And another thing from the testimony is that he's reading his father's notes concerning his story because he was unable to write it down. And he only adds some sentences. So it's one of the strongest experiences in my research, the touch of trauma.
Please join me in thanking the panel.